All right, everybody, welcome back to another Xvault gaming video. Xvault here, and today I want to go over some issues that came to arise from this past weekend, namely in regards to some circumstances hitting the Xbox ecosystem, and we're talking about DRM issues and just overall able to play your games, whether it be online check-ins or not. So I do have a little bit to unpack here, so without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. All right, so like I was saying, what I want to go over is the issue that happened to the Xbox ecosystem this past weekend in regards to DRM, and a lot of users not even being able to play the games that they own or even play through Game Pass, whether it's downloaded or not. So as you may or may not be aware, the Xbox ecosystem essentially went down this weekend. So this happened, I believe, from Saturday, if not a little bit before, but these were where most of the reports were coming from, was Saturday. Even Friday, of course. So basically a couple days worth. Came back supposedly online via around, I would say, Mountain Time, around close to midnight. From the reports I was seeing, and again, this is going to be hit and miss because you have some users that still could not, and a lot of users that saying they could, and so you're going to get this back and forth, right? Later on, for the day of Sunday, coming across a lot of tweets and other social media responses elsewhere, a lot of users were able to get back on. It seemed the issue had been fixed. Xbox themselves even tweeted out, hey, everything's good and ready to go. There should be no issues. And later on, it comes out that, well, now Europe, other places in Europe are having issues as well. So the main point of this being down, not just the network being down, that's a whole nother case in general. And you know what? It happens. It happens to Nintendo, it happens to PlayStation, it happens to Xbox, it happens a lot of places that does have a platform at stake. The issue here is that while the network was down, whether you owned a game, whether a game was digital and such like that, they were not able to play or launch those games. It doesn't matter even if it was Game Pass games and you're paying that monthly fee. You could not access those games. Now, this is for most people. I know there's going to be some naysayers out there that say, well, if you do this or you do that, that's how that works. That'll work this way or that way. What I'm talking about is some are coming out saying, well, it's just DRM check-ins via certain developers. That's not Xbox. Well, I hate to break it to you, and I hate to break it to that person. That's not necessarily true. So you have to be very careful about who's telling you what information. I'm going to be as honest as possible. Again, I am PlayStation preferred. Absolutely. But that doesn't mean I'm going to spread misinformation. That's the last thing I want to do. That's not fair to anybody, including myself. I don't like to spread lies and propaganda. But I will speak on something if something has happened. So I just want to state that that is not true. Some people are stating, well, if you check in online, just make sure you do that, make it your main console, this and that. And for some, that may kind of work. You can kind of tweak things, work around stuff. But for the most part, it didn't work for most people. You also have folks out there stating online, oh, it didn't affect me. So either A, it didn't really happen, or it wasn't that big. It wasn't as, widespread. That also is not true. It did affect a lot of users. So that DRM policy means that system, that game itself, does have to hit the Xbox server, not just that developer server, not 2K Games, not EA, not Ubisoft, not Xbox Game Studios, not anybody, not Rockstar. Xbox servers themselves is what that has to check into. So DRM, meaning they have to register that game. It has to connect online in order for it to be registered to that license and for that user. That was not happening. That outage really brought up a big note of that shouldn't happen. There has to be another way, and not every other platform is far away from that. When PlayStation Network goes down, again, if you have a main console, you have absolutely no problem playing any PlayStation Now game that you downloaded, any game you downloaded digitally or anything disk-wise, but your system does have to be the primary main console, because sometimes, yes, it will. If you choose not for your console, let's say you're console sharing, you have your kid in another room using the main console so you can kind of game share, right? Or your wife, spouse, whoever. If that main console is in another room and or licensed to it or adhered to it is a confirmed main console, and you're playing out in the living room, and your console that you primarily play on is not listed as or determined as your main console, that's a secondary one. So that's where the license checks have to come in, and you do have to be connected for the most part. Otherwise, it's saying, hey, you're playing your name somewhere else, probably not a big deal. This isn't verified to be connected online. That could stop you from playing the game. However, if it is your primary console, there's absolutely no issues. And this is the same for Nintendo as well, to my knowledge. Definitely correct me if I'm wrong on the Nintendo aspect, but I haven't had any issues with that on Nintendo platforms for the Switch and everything else before that. And I do own those, but I can speak even more heavily on PlayStation because I play that a lot. I know how it works. When the PlayStation Network is down, when it happens to be down, I can have access to all of my games. I've never had an issue when my console itself is the primary console and listed as such, and you determine that in your account management. So, that being said, this is a big red flag for Xbox fans and users. I see a lot of fans, if this was on the PlayStation side, let me just spit this out, and I was very vocal. Again, social media wasn't as big as it was back when PlayStation 3 went down because of the hack. That's why that went down. But again, I could play all my games offline, and I could re-download those games via the internet. I just could not play online at that time because of the DDoS attacks. That's what was going on, and then the hacks as well. And that was like 30 days or whatever. But that's a lot different than what's going on here. I'm speaking specifically in DRM. It's odd to me because you paid for these games. You own these games. You own these games that you bought outright. We're not even talking Game Pass at the moment. These games you own outright and you don't have access to because it needs the internet to check in. They said back on the Xbox One, they were getting rid of that. That was the plan initially, and they backtracked and said that isn't the issue. That isn't going to be the case going forward. Okay, they changed it. They listened to the fans, whatever the case is. Now we had this recent case happen, and again, it was, maybe about 48 hours for some users, if not more. Some users, maybe even less. I'm not going to group everybody in one bucket here, but let's be honest, it did affect some users. And now, again, according to some tweets and other social media from actual Xbox fans, we do have reporting out, and even from Xbox themselves, that now Europe is having these issues and ain't able to connect and everything like that. So, hopefully this gets resolved ASAP. Don't like to see anybody not be able to play the games they want to do, or if this is a main hobby or close to a main hobby, you want to be able to access those games. So, moral of the story is Xbox needs to figure some things out, and also don't let anybody out there downplay this, because this is a big thing. And you as an Xbox fan out there, or if you have one or consider getting one, you need to make sure those voices are heard, and you need to make sure that this type of stuff is fixed and it is allocated to. This is not something to settle for. This is not something to shill for the corporation or company. They need to address this ASAP, and you guys need to be vocal about that. I would do the same thing if it was affecting PlayStation that way. No way in heck. I would take a step back, as a matter of fact, and be like, what's going on? I need to pump the brakes on purchasing or doing anything with the games. Game Pass, you're renting anyways, so be it. But if you are consistently purchasing your games, that's an issue. That's an issue. I'm not a fan of that. I can't believe that happened. I can't believe the DRM thing is still even a deal. I understand companies got to make their money. I understand if it was systems that were not the primary system. I get it. It happens. You can't, it's kind of like sharing your Netflix password, Hulu password, all that stuff, Disney Plus. And again, same goes for Nintendo and PlayStation, all that. You're letting another console kind of share play those games for the price of one. So I get where the companies are like, we want to make sure your primary console, at the very least, even without internet, is the only one that can be played, especially. Otherwise, you can consistently give your username out to multiple friends, and they can access all these games, and the developers and the company are not making money off of those, right? So it makes sense. I get that, but I do not get when you are the primary console. You can move that console wherever you want, household to household, airport to airport, wherever you want to play your system at. And because it is offline, it's down, the DRM is affecting your ability to play your owned games. Not okay. Needs to be fixed, absolutely, and right away. Again, be very vocal about that. We do not need anybody being okay and then other companies to get wind of that and think that that's okay as well. We purchase these games, we own these games to play when we want, how often we want, wherever we want, offline or online. Simple as that. So, appreciate everybody hanging around for the entirety of the video. Just wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on what happened this weekend. Definitely, like I said, is unfortunate, but it's something that needs addressed. But as always, I appreciate everybody's support, and anybody that's new, definitely consider liking, commenting, and subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself. I do like to put out these types of videos and give you as much information as I can about that and my main passion of gaming. So thank you so much, and everybody that continues to support. I cannot say it enough. Thank you so much for sticking with me. We are at 258 subscribers out of the goal of 300. I know we can do that. I think we're ahead of where we need to be or want to be, so that's good. But if we can keep making more strides to reach that goal even quicker, we can continue to grow this community, continue to grow the content, and make it better and better and better. And I like to consistently be here for everybody. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time on the next Xvault gaming video. And until then, take care.